is Neil Reddy. I'm an MD and PhD. I'm a professor at Duke Medical School. I'm a medical oncologist. I focus on treating lung cancers and head and neck cancers. I don't have a laboratory. I do clinical research, so I run clinical trials, design and write clinical trials, and collaborate with basic researchers at the medical center and on campus.
It was an inflammatory issue, and that could cause her to be loopy. Now that she has...
The Duke is sort of an interesting mix in that way because we are the main cancer hospital from folks from Durham that is fairly, in every way you can imagine, pretty diverse. And yet, because we are a large tertiary care cancer center, we do have people coming from far away to get their care here. And many of them could go anywhere that they wanted, really, for socioeconomic reasons. So we sort of see the local folks that are, many of them salt of the earth, varied backgrounds, and then we see people that have come a long distance because of the expertise that we have in surgery and radiation oncology and clinical trials that we have in medical oncology that might not be available elsewhere.
My name is Nell Fortune-Greeley, and I'm the museum manager here at 21C Durham. Founded in 2006 by Laura Brown and Steve Wilson, and they are preservationists and contemporary art collectors from Louisville, Kentucky. And they were seeking to revitalize downtown Louisville and then also find a place for their art collection. And they decided to do a boutique museum hotel. They chose that route rather than the traditional museum route or working with a museum to place their collection in a museum. So they decided to do this route instead because they believe strongly that art should be accessible. So we are open and we are free to the public 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The bottom 3 floors you can come at any time. We like to choose cities sort of right before they pop and come in and help the revitalization of the city. So for example, I grew up in Durham and you didn't come downtown at all. And even just 5 years ago, it was still sort of not a place where there was a lot of you didn't come downtown. So more recently, so 21C opened in March of 2015, so we just had our 3-year anniversary. Yeah, like I said, we like to choose right before things pop. We also choose based on, we like historic buildings. So our building was built by the same architects as the Empire State Building, and it was built between 1935 and 1937. It's a building on the National Historic Building Registry. It then was Central Carolina Bank and then SunTrust Bank before we purchased and opened, like I said, of March of 2015.
Benfey, and I'm the owner of Juju. So I've been cooking in restaurants since I was about 16 and a half. And coincidentally, my very first restaurant that I ever worked at is now one of the restaurants that I own, Juju in Chapel Hill. And so Juju came about because I had proven the potential of a successful concept, and so I went to get investors or different investors, and was able to raise enough capital to secure a lease on Juju, and that's how Juju came about. In Durham, with the competition that existed prior to that, prior to us opening, it was incredibly difficult, and I can only imagine how much more difficult it has become as we've had a number of higher quality restaurants open in the last two to 3 years alone. And so we consider those restaurants not necessarily as competition, but more as embracing the community. And the way I see it is the higher quality restaurants that there are in this community, the more it pushes us to maintain the level that we strive to maintain every day. Every customer that walks through the door is here for an amazing experience, and if we can't give them that, then we're failing. If we can give them good food, we're still failing if we neglected to give them high quality service. And the craziest thing about cooking is how ephemeral it actually is. It's not a long lasting thing. You come in for dinner and you have a great experience for an hour, for 2 hours, and it's done. And so that's where the incentive for us to continue to strive to get better every day comes from, is the fact that there is a very ephemeral aspect to cooking, to dining out. How do you maintain consistency and decrease the triviality of it, or the trivial factors of it, because you want people to remember, to have a memorable meal, and to say, I had such a great meal, I'm coming back there the next time I'm in Durham. And when you look at the employees, we're not talking about Duke graduates, we're not talking about Ivy League graduates, we're talking about people who come from South America and who have a terrible background, and who are constantly worried that their citizenship may get taken, or a lot of them aren't necessarily truly American citizens. And so it becomes a really difficult dynamic to manage, because when these people have problems, they're much bigger problems than civilized problems, right? Like, for instance, last week, a couple weeks ago, one of my prep cooks could not manage to get himself up and working because he was so depressed, and so he was crying in the closet. And I was off that day, and I said, what's the problem? Why is this person not working? And they said, we recommend that you come in and talk to him yourself. And so I came in, I talked to him myself, and the problem ended up being, the issue was that his brother was on his way to Mexico City to work in a coal mine from a more rural part of Mexico, and was captured by a cartel. If it were a Harvard graduate, right, an Ivy League graduate, I'm convinced that I would never really have to deal with that. It's my goal to really establish the businesses that I have, and to grow the businesses to the best of their abilities.